Hi, I'm Jane Reardon of the Illinois Supreme Court Commission on Professionalism. Welcome to Reimagining Law. This series explores how legal professionals are adapting delivery of services to better meet the needs of today's consumers. Today, I'm excited to have with me Nancy Vincent, Executive Director of the Illinois Board of Bar Admissions. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Citing concerns that due to the coronavirus, exam takers could not safely take the exam in July, the Illinois Supreme Court recently determined to postpone the July exam till September. Could you talk about that a little bit for us?
Yes. The Illinois Board of Admissions to the bar and the court were very concerned about making sure that the July exam could go as scheduled, if at all possible. But the main concern was the safety of the applicants and for the staff that administer those exams. So once we stayed in continual contact with the Illinois Department of Public Health to determine what, if any, social distancing or other restrictions might still be in place in July, were we to give the bar exam. And the issue is this: we give the bar exam in the city of Chicago in 3 different venues, but those venues have about 1,000, 2 of the venues have about 1,000 people in them each. So in order to socially distance appropriately to make sure that the applicants and the staff are safe, we would not have been able to have that many people in those venues at that time. And we were unable to secure enough venue space and staffing for that venue space in order to socially distance people at 6 feet or even 3 feet. One of the things that we took careful look at was a remote option. And the difficulties in giving the remote option were security and also access for some individuals. There may be some individuals out there who don't have a quiet, safe space in order to take a 2-day exam. But more importantly, security is a real problem with a 2-day exam. That exam is produced by the National Conference of Bar Examiners, which I will always say is NCBE. And they are the ones that have to produce that exam in an electronic environment if that's available. And right now, that exam is not available on that scale to be administered electronically and remotely.
So how are registrations being handled, and how many were already registered for the July exam?
Well, as of when I checked, right before I jumped on this video, 1,948 have submitted applications to take the bar exam in September. Our due date, or the cutoff date, is ordinarily May 15th. We extended that to June 15th. We did that to make sure that everyone who was waiting to see what would happen would have the opportunity to sign up for the exam if that's what they needed to do.
In a normal year, Nancy, how many are registered to take the exam in the July setting?
This is actually about right. By the time the May 15th deadline passes, we usually have roughly 2,200 people that are registered and submitted for the examination. So these numbers are right at where we would expect them to be, global pandemic or no.
Do you expect any change in the number of registrants due to what's been going on?
It's hard to say at this moment. We are getting some individuals who are withdrawing from the exam because they're, for example, moving for a job and they were going to be doing that in August and September and can't now take it in September. But we're also getting applicants from other jurisdictions. And I would give a specific example. Some individuals who were ordinarily signed up for New York are starting to look for other jurisdictions in which to sit for the exam because New York is limiting some of their exams, or some of the seats that they're going to offer for exams. So we may see a small increase from other jurisdictions.
Some people are talking about there may be a need for social distancing for months. Is the board considering any special arrangements or accommodations for September?
We absolutely are. We're still very early in that process, but we are identifying and securing additional space should we need to spread people out. Right now, we're anticipating perhaps having a little bit of distancing in the two venues that we already use, which is the UIC Forum and the UIC Pavilion. And then we're identifying other medium to large spaces in the Chicago area that we may be able to spread people out into.
Typically, there's a early November bar admissions ceremony. Should our September bar exam takers expect that they would be admitted in early November, or would there be an adjustment they should see down the pike?
That date is set by the Illinois Supreme Court, and it would be up to the court to determine when and if to move that date. Having said that, grading the essay portions of the exams in July generally will take about 6 to 7 weeks, and we would expect that to occur after a September exam, which would put it past that November date. So while that has not been discussed, I think that it is a possibility that the swearing-in ceremony could be delayed as a result of the delay of the bar exam.
The trend in most states is to administer the uniform bar exam. I think that's accepted in about 39 jurisdictions now, including Illinois. How does that work, and are you going to expect more or less fewer people to port their scores from one state to another?
We have been administering the UBE this will be our third cycle now. We started in July of 2019. We have not seen a significant difference in the numbers of individuals sitting for the bar exam. What we have seen is transfers of scores chiefly from two jurisdictions, Missouri and New York. Those are individuals that before would have probably sat for the bar exam either a 1-day or a 2-day. And now they are able to take the score that they earned in the jurisdiction in which they originally sat, and they can transfer that score to Illinois and seek admission via that route. The advantage to that is just not having to sit for the same bar exam over and over again. These individuals can be licensed in more jurisdictions more quickly. And the benefit to the applicants is quite simply the ability to port the score from one jurisdiction to another. For example, the individuals from Missouri are chiefly individuals that live in the St. Louis and the Metro East area, and they can be dually licensed in Missouri and Illinois, and their employment prospects increase accordingly. The applicants that we get from New York are individuals that are generally transferring into Chicago through the large firms. And it also gives particularly that class of applicant the ability to move for a partner's career. We see a lot of individuals whose partners have received job offers in other locations, and it makes their attorney partner more able to move with them and seek employment in their new home.
Nancy, you talked about New York. I understand that various states are approaching their decision-making for the July exam differently. New York determined to restrict the number of registrants and give preference to their law school matriculants first. And other states have postponed the exam and are doing some provisional licensing to allow law grads before they're officially licensed to practice law. Could you address that option and whether the board considered expanding what is now the 7-11 license in Illinois?
Sure. First, I can address diploma privilege, which is something that had been discussed in various white papers and so forth. The vast majority of jurisdictions do not use diploma privilege. Most jurisdictions, and the Illinois Supreme Court agrees with this provision, that the bar exam is really the best measure of minimum competence, because the goal ultimately is protection of the public and making sure that the individuals that are licensed to practice law in the state of Illinois are minimally competent and also possess the requisite character and fitness. So the other option that was proposed and considered was expanding Rule 711. For those who don't know, Rule 711 is a student practice rule that allows individuals who are not yet licensed but have a certain number of credits to work for example, the public defender's offices or legal aid or clinics. There was a proposal to expand that to private firms. And the difficulty with that was how that is administered in the state of Illinois. The Administrative Office of Illinois Courts actually administers that license. And one of the things that they do is that they vet each agency that wishes to employ law students in that capacity. And for them to be able to then take all the large and medium and small firms and solo practitioners and vet them as well was going to be an administrative burden that they were not going to be able to complete in the delay between July and September bar applicants. So that was considered, but it was just administratively not feasible.
Thank you, Nancy Vincent, Executive Director of the Illinois Board of Bar Admissions, for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity to speak.
And folks, thank you for watching. Please like and share our video and connect with us on our channel to get updates about upcoming episodes. If you want to stay connected with us, information is in the notes below. Meanwhile, be well, be safe.